I have found a very good website that explains every poetic form that you'll ever need. And look, that's the title, Every Poetic Form You'll Ever Need by Christina Adams. Useful terms, a couplet, two lines beside each other that usually rhyme, meter, rhythmic structure of a poem, quatrain, a four-line stanza or poem, refrain, a repeating line in a poem. And these are the different types of poetry. Abstract poem. Abstract poems are poems that are more visual than your average poem. An abstract poem can consist of one word repeated over in a particular shape. They're the poetic version of modern art. They're not my favorite, but to each his own. An acrostic poem is a poem that spells something using the first letter of each line. Can you remember one of those poems that I put in our lesson? If you said the spring poem, you're right. A ballad. Ballads are verses that are often set to music. They originally consisted of couplets and refrains in alternative lines. In most cases, only lines 2 and 4 rhyme. Modern ballads are often love songs. A clerihew is a 4-line biographical poem. It follows an A-A-B-B rhyming scheme, with the first word being a person's name. It often puts the subject into a silly or unlikely situation. A concrete poem. A concrete poem is a poem that is designed in the shape of something, but contains more content than an abstract poem. So you can see that this one is designed to look like a glass. A haiku is a 3-line poem of Japanese origin. Traditionally, it follows a 5-7-5 syllable format, but this is not compulsory when writing in English as it's not a rhythmic language. Haikus are popular on Twitter as the tight constraints of both a haiku and Twitter work well together. A limerick is a 5-line poem with a rhyming pattern of A-A, B-B, A. It usually tells the tale of someone doing something or something happening to them. It's usually written in a humorous way, and the 3rd and 4th lines are usually shorter than the 1st, 2nd, and 5th. A nonette is a poem of 9 lines, with each line having 1 syllable less. Line 9 has 9 syllables. Line 8 has 8 syllables. Line 7 has 7 syllables. So I wonder what line 6 has. That's right, it has 6 syllables, and so on. Open form. An open form poem has no structure to it. No rhythm, no meter, no pattern. It can go in any direction at any time. And that is the type of poem structure that I asked you to do at the very beginning. Just something like I see, I hear, I taste, I smell, I touch, or I feel. Because it is not constraining in any way, but it still allows you to open up your mind to be able to create the images that we want in our poems. A rondel is a French poetic form from the 14th century consisting of 13 or 14 lines. It's a variation of the rondo. Its meter is open, but it usually has 8 syllables. Its rhyming scheme is A, B, B, A, B, A, B, A, B, B, A, B. We are not going to get that far into such a complicated system, but I want you to be aware of it. A rondo is a French repeating form poem. It has 13 or 14 lines, and its rhyming pattern is A-B-A, A-A, B-A-B. A sestain is a 6-line poem. Sestina is a fixed verse poem that is made up of 6 stanzas. Each stanza is 6 lines each. The stanzas are usually followed by a final 3-line stanza. A sonnet is a traditional form of poetry that many people associate with Shakespeare. It's 14 lines long and written in iambic pentameter. Sonnets contain a change or a turn at line 6, but this usually isn't broken into a second stanza. There are several different versions of a sonnet, including the English Shakespearean sonnet and the Italian sonnet. These have different rules based on the language they originate from. A sonnet is a Shakespearean sonnet. They use rhyming couplets at the end of each line. This creates an AB format. A sonnet of Italian Petrarchian. The Italian sonnet is more complicated and doesn't work so well in the English language. The opening octave usually has a rhyme scheme of A, B, B, A, A, B, B, A. The rhyme scheme of the sestet is usually C, D, E, C, D, E, or C, D, C, D, C, D, or a version of those rhymes. Don't let that bog you down. We're not going to be writing those either. A triolet is a repeating form poetry that has a bad reputation because it's difficult to write and often focuses on nature. It's only 7 lines long, with the first line repeated on lines 3 and 5. Line 2 is repeated in line 6, and it follows an A-B-A-A-A-B-A-B rhyme scheme. Because of these rules, it's very difficult to write, and we're not going to attempt it. A very short poem is exactly what it sounds like, a very short poem. It's usually 5 lines or fewer. We may try something like that. A villanelle is a repeating form poem consisting of 19 lines. There are 5 3-line stanzas followed by a final quatrain. The first and third line are repeated alternately at the end of each stanza. The rhyme scheme is what you see here, which is positively ridiculous, and I see no reason to learn that at this stage of our poetry writing. But I find this to be very interesting because it is every poetic form that you'll ever need, and many of them that you will never need. Have a blessed day.